And our house looks like it's been burglarized. It's just a mess. When I returned from a business trip, I found out that my husband, Sean, had been absent from work without notice. No one knew where he was, and in a panic, I contacted the police. The place is quite trashed, so we can't rule out the possibility of kidnapping. What? Why would Sean be subjected to something like that? The police decided to search the house, and soon, more officers arrived, and the situation began to escalate, involving the neighborhood. I just hope he's safe. Then, one of the officers searching the second floor shouted loud enough for the whole house to hear. I've found them. One male, presumably the homeowner, and one female. A female. I rushed upstairs with my in-laws, and we saw the police peering into the attic, trying to persuade the two to come down. Soon, my husband Sean and a woman I didn't recognize came down, supported by the police, and appeared before everyone. Why are you naked? And who is this woman? My name is Jolie. I'm currently a homemaker, juggling household duties while working at the company I've been with since before I got married. Sean, my husband, was a classmate of mine in college, and we've been together for over 10 years. He was a refreshing handsome guy popular among women, so I was surprised when he asked me out. His bright personality and good looks were exactly my type, so I said yes with a single response, and things quickly progressed to a smooth marriage. We now live in a rented house with an attic. Although Sean works for a decent company, he doesn't seem to be good at his job, as he hasn't been promoted much, and our income is modest. Despite this, he doesn't do any housework and leaves it all to me, leading me to complain to him from time to time. However, instead of listening, Sean quickly gets in a bad mood and snaps back, forcing me to always watch his mood, and gradually, I've become unable to speak my mind. Sean's personality has been this way since college, and his slightly rough edges were actually appealing to women back then. I didn't take his childish behavior too seriously, forgiving most of his worse attitudes out of affection from our long relationship. But lately, Sean has been taking advantage of my leniency, becoming increasingly reckless. For example, it was our rule to always inform each other when going out for drinks, but he started ignoring it. Going to clubs and hanging out with girls, which was forbidden after our marriage, has been happening behind my back, with no attempt to hide their contact information left openly on the table. Knowing that complaining would only result in tenfold the verbal abuse, I've had no choice but to endure, accumulating stress daily. Yet, there are people who can deal with my husband on equal footing. His parents. Thankfully, my in-laws are the only ones who can confront Sean about his attitude and lecture him on changing his ways, and every time they do, it feels like a release for my built-up stress. We've had family ties with my in-laws since before we got married, which has kept our relationship strong to this day. Whenever they see me down because of Sean's behavior, they invite me over for a lavish meal to cheer me up. I'm deeply grateful for my kind in-laws because they allow me to vent my stress appropriately, enabling me to continue with my married life. However, even my husband, who had always been such an overbearing husband, at one point began to complain less and less. Before, if I blamed him for going to clubs, he'd retort with, "I'm spending my own money, so don't complain," but recently, he's been apologizing, saying, "Sorry, my boss invited me, and I couldn't refuse." I was shocked the first time I heard him apologize, thinking I must have misheard. But as his attitude gradually became gentler, I finally felt at ease believing he had calmed down and become kinder, which also reduced my stress. But at the same time, Sean seemed to be getting busier at work. Maybe he had finally found his motivation because lately, he's been staying late at the office and coming home late. Moved by such a change, I decided to support Sean more than ever, putting extra effort into my work and household chores, striving to make the house a relaxing place for him. While we were leading a busy yet peaceful life, I was assigned to go on a business trip for a few days by my boss. "Sean, I'm gonna be away on a business trip to the countryside next week, so please take care of the house for a few days." "Oh, got it. Just a few days, huh?" "For now, yes. But it might get extended, so I'll let you know if that happens." Sean simply acknowledged, but then started humming a tune, seemingly in an unusually good mood. And on the day of the trip, Sean offered to drive me to the station, which was rare. "Jolly, take care and have a good trip. Oh, and if you come back early, make sure to let me know in advance. I'll come to pick you up." Sean was in a better mood than usual, giving me a rare smile. "Thanks. I'll definitely let you know when I'm coming back. You seem really happy, though." Sean stiffened for a moment but quickly returned to smiling. No, it's nothing. You're imagining things. It's gonna be lonely without Jolly around, that's for sure." "Really? Well, I'm off then. Thanks for the ride." As the time for my plane was nearing, I parted ways with Sean and headed to the platform. Wondering if he might be waving goodbye, I turned around once, but Sean was nowhere to be seen, likely already on his way back home. As I settled into my seat, I reflected on Sean's behavior from the morning till now. His insistence on letting him know if I'd return early. And that unusually cheerful smile. Even though Sean has been calmer recently, considering his past behavior, these actions felt off. During my business trip, I couldn't stop thinking about it and sent him a few emails, but his replies were slower than usual and rather curt, which only added to my unease. Luckily, my work finished earlier than expected, and I could head home right away. He told me to call before coming back, but I figured he wouldn't answer the phone anyway and would be slow to check his emails, so I decided to return home without notice. It was a weekday, and Sean was supposed to be at work. Of course, the house was locked, so I took out my keys and opened the door. "I'm home." "Huh? Why are these shoes here?" I found Sean's work shoes, which was odd since he was supposed to be at work. "Did you take the day off, Sean? Are you here?" I called out, but got no reply. The house was silent, no sign of anyone around. Worried he might have fallen ill somewhere, I dropped my suitcase by the entrance and searched the house, but Sean was nowhere to be found. I decided to call his office, just in case. "Hello, this is Jolie, Sean's wife. I was wondering, did Sean come into work today?" "He hasn't come in today. We've been trying to reach him too, but haven't had any luck." "What? He's absent without notice? Okay, I'll try to contact him too." I ended the call in a hurry. Sean hadn't gone to work after all. Where could he have gone? Maybe he went out but left his shoes? There's a chance he could have been taken away in an ambulance if he was ill. Thinking his parents might know something, I called them next. Unfortunately, they also had no idea about Sean's whereabouts and confirmed he hadn't returned to their place either. Trying to stay calm, I sat down on the sofa and noticed the living room was unusually messy. It looked as if a burglar had been there right before I got home, with clothes scattered everywhere. Imagining a scenario where a bold burglar turned into a violent one, and Sean got caught up in some incident, I tried calling him again, but still, no answer. Growing more anxious, I contacted the police. "I can't get in touch with my husband at all. He's missing after not showing up for work. And our house looks like it's been burglarized, it's just a mess." The police said they would come right away, and while waiting for them, I also informed Sean's workplace about his disappearance. Soon, 2 officers arrived at my house to investigate the scene. It seems they came in a police car, and seeing that, the neighbors started gathering in front of our house, wondering what was going on. The situation was getting big enough to involve the whole neighborhood, making my anxiety grow even more. Watching the police search the house was nerve-wracking, and my in-laws, worried about Sean's whereabouts, also made their way over. The place is quite trashed, so we can't rule out the possibility of kidnapping. "What? Why would Sean be subjected to something like that?" Hearing the word kidnapping, my in-laws and I exchanged worried glances. "We'd like to check the rest of the house as well, if that's all right with you, just to make sure we cover everything." "Oh, okay, please do." The search of the house meant more officers arrived, and the situation kept escalating. All I wanted was for Sean to be safe. My in-laws seemed to feel the same, and we held each other's hands tightly. Then, one of the officers searching the second floor shouted so loudly it echoed throughout the house. "We've found them. One male, presumed to be the homeowner, and one female. A female." We rushed upstairs with my in-laws to find the police looking into the attic, trying to persuade the two to come down. Soon, Sean and a woman I didn't know came down, supported by the police, and appeared before everyone.
"Why are you naked? And who is this woman?"
Overwhelmed by the relief of finding Sean and then the shock of seeing him with another woman, I nearly screamed. "Jolie, calm down. We'll have plenty of time to get an explanation from them. Okay? It's gonna be all right. You're right. Sorry." My mother-in-law then calmly turned to Sean.
"Sean, do you realize how much trouble you've caused? The police have been searching for you, causing quite the commotion. Jolie and I, as well as your father, expect a full explanation, okay?"
Sean turned pale, seemingly unable to speak, and just nodded quietly. We then moved to the living room to hear the full story. As you can see, I was cheating with this woman while Jolie was away on her business trip. Today, we were together, but Jolie came back unexpectedly, and we didn't even have time to get dressed, so we rushed to hide in the attic. We planned to stay hidden until everything calmed down, but things just got more and more out of hand. Our clothes were left in the bedroom, and we ended up being found by the police before we could make a move. Sean explained the situation in a rather guilty manner, bit by bit. While I was relieved to have found Sean, I was deeply shocked by the fact that he had been cheating. "I was tremendously worried when I thought you were missing, and then you cheat on your wife when she's not home. It's a common, pathetic story, really." Everyone present was appalled upon hearing Sean's story, letting out sighs of disappointment. But now, it all made sense. The reason my husband stopped complaining to me and was in a good mood when he went on business trips was because he was cheating on me. My husband's gentleness was a temporary result of the affair, not a growth in his mental age. Realizing this, I felt deeply disappointed and my anger towards Sean began to simmer. However, it seemed my in-laws were even more furious than I was. My usually calm father-in-law was shouting at Sean, his face turning red. It was a rare sight that left my mother-in-law and me in shock, a testament to the intensity of the situation. But soon, my mother-in-law's anger resurfaced, and she harshly scolded both Sean and the woman he cheated with. The two, barely covered with bath towels, remained silent and shrunken, a rather comical sight given their nearly naked and pitiful state. Then, Sean's boss, having heard his employee had vanished, arrived late. Perhaps he rushed over after hearing my report to the police, appearing slightly out of breath and sweaty. Upon entering the living room and witnessing the angry scene, he seemed taken aback. However, when the boss saw the woman next to Sean, he stiffened. "Come on, you've got to be kidding. Why are you here? Do you know her? She's my wife." The revelation silenced even the furious in-laws, bringing a sudden quiet to the room. The naked woman sitting in Siza was indeed Yvonne, truly the wife of Sean's boss. It seems Sean's boss, who got married later than Sean, had invited Sean for dinner to introduce his wife, and that's how they met. The boss, now interrogating his wife, demanded, "Why are you naked? Why are you at my employee's house?" Yvonne initially tried to cover up with plausible lies, but when her usually quiet husband shouted, "Enough," she resigned and revealed her affair with Sean. "I fell for Sean the moment I met him because he's younger and more handsome than you. You're always so busy and never pay attention to me, so it couldn't be helped." Yvonne, an art class instructor, approached Sean saying, "I want to paint your portrait," as an excuse to get close to him. Despite desperately trying to justify the affair, her boss was furious, asserting there's no excuse for cheating.
"Both of you better be ready for what's coming,"
the boss said with a deep, menacing voice. Eek. Sean, who had seemed somewhat confident that he would be forgiven if he just told the truth, was visibly shaken by this and fell silent.
"Wait, honey. It was just a moment of folly. Please, don't think about leaving me. You are the most important person to me."
Yvonne clung to her boss in a pitiful manner, sobbing as if she was about to kneel in the dirt. However, the boss seemed unwavering in his decision to divorce, ignoring her pleas completely. Sean was scolded again by his in-laws, and Yvonne cried so hard her face contorted. Who could have predicted returning from a tiring business trip to such chaos? Watching this hellish scene unfold made me feel sick, and my head began to ache. Unable to bear staying at home any longer, I left everyone behind and took refuge at my childhood home, which was a couple of stations away. Fortunately, my old room was left untouched, and there were even clothes I could wear to work, so I decided to stay there for a while. Of course, my parents were worried about their daughter suddenly coming home. To avoid awkward questions, I explained the situation to them. They were quite angry but prioritized my feelings, offering to take care of me for a while. A few days later, Sean and Yvonne, from whom I hadn't heard anything since the incident, shockingly showed up at my parents' house. Both looked even more worn out than before, visibly distressed. I didn't want to let them into my parents' house, but I also disliked the idea of going somewhere with them, so I reluctantly agreed to talk at the doorstep. So, what brings you two, who cheated together, all the way to my parents' house? It's embarrassing to say, but the affair scandal got out at work, and I was fired. I've been desperately looking for a new job, but it's tough, and this is really hard to say, but we need to borrow some money. Of course, I regret what I did and have no intention of making the same mistake again. But right now, I really need money even to look for a job. Please help. After making a lengthy excuse, Sean begged me at the spot. And strangely enough, Yvonne also begged me alongside him. Watching them, I let out a big sigh. Seriously. How much more do you plan to mock me? Saying you're sorry while still hanging around with this woman? That's because we thought if we apologized together, you might forgive us. I was at a loss for words at Sean's incredible stupidity. I already knew from Sean's boss and my in-laws that Sean had been fired. And of course, I was aware of Yvonne's situation as well. In the days that followed, the boss and Yvonne finalized their divorce. As a result, Sean and Yvonne ended up having to pay a huge sum in alimony not just to the boss but to me as well. Sean had apparently been quite overbearing not just towards me at home, but also at his workplace, earning a bad reputation among his colleagues. He was often harsh and stole credit for work, garnering a lot of resentment. On the other hand, Sean's boss was known for his gentle demeanor towards everyone. Even when someone made a mistake, he wouldn't just yell. Instead, he'd work together with them to figure out a solution. It made him a well-respected figure at the company. When the company found out about Sean's affair with the boss's wife, they banded together. Exposing all of Sean's bad behavior and mistreatment of young employees led to his swift termination. Moreover, Sean was held accountable for tarnishing the company's reputation and faced a claim for damages. Our neighborhood is pretty close-knit, with a strong sense of community. The news of Sean's missing case and subsequent affair scandal spread quickly, making it uncomfortable for me to even go shopping without overhearing whispers. I'm well aware of the mess you two are in. Well, you brought it upon yourselves.
Don't be so cold. You know I didn't make much, right? So paying alimony is gonna be tough. Please, I'm begging you, forgive me.
Sean finally prostrated himself, begging for forgiveness.
After all the arrogance you showed and the affair, you expect me to forgive you just because you're short on money? Don't make me laugh. My love for you completely faded the moment I found out about your affair. And I have no intention of forgiving her either. No matter what, you're paying that alimony.
At my words, Sean's attitude took a sharp turn, and he began to angrily lash out.
Acting all high and mighty just because I'm apologizing. Give me a break. If you had just let me know you were coming back from your trip, none of this would have happened.
Sean started shouting loudly, and for a moment, I was taken aback, but I've decided I will never listen to him again. As I stood firm, not to be outdone by Sean, my father came to the entrance after hearing Sean's shouts. As soon as he saw Sean, my father lunged at him, shouting even louder. "What the hell do you think you're doing showing up here? Get lost and stop causing trouble around here." Sean, caught off guard, was left gaping and then got slapped by my father. "Don't you dare show your face here again." After saying that, my father turned to see Yvonne approaching Sean and looked shocked. "Wait, aren't you Yvonne, the art teacher, right?" Recognizing her, Yvonne awkwardly looked away. It turns out my dad is a fan of art and had been attending painting classes as a hobby after retiring. And Yvonne, Sean's mistress, happened to be the instructor there. "I can't believe you're the one who stole my daughter's husband. You're the lowest of the low," my father said, looking down on her. "That's right. I'm going to expose what happened to all the students in the class. Consider it settlement for the insult you've caused to my daughter." "Please don't do that. I'm already struggling with no money after the divorce. I'll be out of a job if I lose my students too," Yvonne pleaded desperately, bowing her head to my father. "The pain my daughter has suffered because of you is far greater than anything you're going through. I'll never forgive you." My father was unyielding, and realizing this, Yvonne burst into tears. Moreover, she was also scolded by my mother, who had appeared from behind, saying, "You're the lowest as a woman." Meanwhile, Sean was forcibly stood up by my father, grabbed by the collar, and slapped hard with the words, "I'll do this in place of my daughter." Finally realizing there was no hope for forgiveness, Sean, with a bright red cheek, and Yvonne, trembling at the thought of the impending job loss, left our home dejectedly. After a while, my divorce from Sean was finalized, and I successfully received a significant amount of alimony. Because of that, Sean ended up in debt, and I heard directly from my mother-in-law that they've disowned their son. Now, he's working as a part-timer, forced into manual labor day and night, living his days utterly exhausted. On the other hand, Yvonne's business went under after my father exposed her affair to her students, leading them all to leave. Like Sean, Yvonne too is buried in debt, having sold all her designer items and now scrambling through part-time jobs, forced into poverty. As for me, thanks to my savings and the substantial alimony, my wallet has gotten quite a bit fatter. I've taken some time off to enjoy life, spending money on overseas trips and hobbies. On my travels, I've been embracing new cultures, enjoying encounters with new people, and being captivated by beautiful sceneries I've never experienced before. It's been a time for me to reflect on myself and recharge with the strength to live positively.